local for you. From the heart of the Quad Cities, your local election headquarters presents For the Record.
Hello everyone, I'm James Sears in for Jim Needleman today, and this is For the Record. The first of two Democratic presidential debates took place in Miami on Wednesday night. 10 candidates made their case for the White House before a national audience, tackling immigration, the economy, and President Trump. Laura Podesta reports from Miami.
I'm talking about a comprehensive rewrite of our immigration laws.
I think that you should do your homework.
We're going to make sure that
for 2 hours.
Healthcare is a basic human right, and I will fight for basic human rights.
10 Democratic presidential candidates went toe-to-toe during the NBC News debate on issues like healthcare.
I am just simply concerned about kicking half of America off of their health insurance in 4 years.
Afghanistan.
You have to stay engaged in these situations.
As a soldier, I will tell you that answer is unacceptable. We have to bring our troops home.
They also talked about immigration, making their case both in English.
I would sign an executive order that would get rid of Trump's zero-tolerance policy.
And in Spanish, hoping to court Latino voters.
La situación ahora es inaceptable. When people come to this country, they do not leave their human rights at the border.
Here in Florida, a key battleground state, and where President Trump kicked off his re-election campaign just a week and a half ago.
While the president tweeted the debate was boring.
The biggest threat to the security of the United States is Donald Trump.
Democrats on stage took him to task.
I don't think we should conduct foreign policy in our bathrobe at 5 in the morning.
Some publicly stated their views on whether impeachment proceedings should begin.
we must begin impeachment now.
This is not the number one issue the American people ask us about.
The candidates were largely focused on each other and their party.
This Democratic Party has to be strong and bold and progressive.
Laura Podesta, CBS News, Miami.
All right, well, joining us to break it all down, Scott County Republican Party Chair David Millage.
Nice to be here.
And Scott County Democratic Party Chair Alicia Gaiman.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to you both. All right, so 2 nights of debates. We just saw a recap of the first night. How do you think it all went? The setup, the 2 different nights of debates.
I was actually quite impressed that as many of the candidates were able to get words in. I thought, my goodness, they are hardly going to be able to say 2 words a piece and have to move on to the next. But I think that they were able to, articulate their thoughts and especially speak forward on issues that they're particularly more passionate about.
All right, what did you think of the 2-night setup?
Well, it was a circus. They were talking over each other. They were trying to make their points by talking over another individual. They were out of control on their time. They weren't abiding by the time limitations. I was thinking while I was watching that, what happens when you argue a court before the court, particularly the Supreme Court, is you're given like 5 minutes or 8 minutes, regardless of what it is. They have a button. And when you go over your time, they press the button and your mic goes off. So I think the Democrats need to start thinking about doing that in their future debates.
Okay. And we saw that them calling them on their time, making them stop, some went over. Who do you think came out on top? Elizabeth Warren, in the first night, she was the front runner. But Julian Castro, he got a lot of attention going after Beto O'Rourke. He was the top name in Google searches Wednesday night. Who do you think won Wednesday night?
It's really hard, I think, to say, depending on an individual's personal issues and what they're most passionate about as far as like who won. I think they definitely all define themselves in different areas, and I think overall performance, there's without a doubt Elizabeth Warren had the highest expectations, but I think she also met those expectations.
I think Donald Trump was the winner. That's the Republican talking point about the debates, because they all did. They all set forth socialist policies that we don't believe the mainstream of the country believe in. But if I had to pick a winner, and I'll say this, if you put a gun to my head and I had to vote for one of those individuals to be president, I think that Tulsi Gabbard would grab my vote. I thought she was the most thoughtful in her responses. I thought she was, except for her naivety in foreign affairs, she was, very reflective. I thought she did a good job. I thought Julian Castro certainly did a good job as well. I'll tell you, who did not do a good job was Bill de Blasio. He just shouted at you like here I am, and you must believe what I believe. I thought Cory Booker was shot down. And I think Elizabeth Warren simply held her own. I don't think she enhanced her candidacy or her candidacy at any point about the debate. But I really thought that Tulsi Gabbard surprised me. I did not know her before the debate, and certainly I wouldn't vote for her when she's up against Donald Trump, but I thought she did a credible job.
She did a good job. You think worthy of challenging President Trump? I
don't think she has the experience. I mean, she's got some flaws in her candidacy. They were not flaws in the debate on Wednesday night, but they would be flaws going forward. I'm just talking about the debate only. I thought she did a credible job.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look at this. Tensions erupted between Texans Julian Castro and Beto O'Rourke over immigration policy and migrants seeking asylum. Take a look.
And I think that if you truly want to change the system, then we got to repeal that section. If not, then it might as well be the same policy.
Let me respond to this very briefly. Actually, as a member of Congress, I helped to introduce legislation that would ensure that we don't criminalize those who are seeking asylum and refuge in this country. If you're fleeing desperation, then I want to make sure that you're treated with respect.
I'm still talking about everybody else.
But you're looking at just one small part of this. I'm talking about a comprehensive rewrite of our immigration laws.
That's not true.
And if we do that, I don't think it's asking too much for people to follow our laws when they come to this country.
All right, a big topic there. A talking point here in the Quad Cities as well. Do you think our border laws need to be changed?
I mean, obviously. I think this last week, the image of the man and his daughter dead on the banks of America, I think it was abhorrent. I think the mother in me especially, how can you not react when you see that? There's no question that this country needs immigration reform, and I think that's the part where both parties can agree. It's how do we get there and what does that look like is where the differences are. I think obviously the candidates on the Democratic side also have a few differences of opinion, but I think the passion that you saw in that clip just demonstrates how strongly people feel that what's happening on the border with kids in cages is just unacceptable.
Well, I would like to respond by saying the kids in cages, the caging policy, was begun in the Obama administration. I think there was a ICE director on the news the other night who said there were 100 cages for the refugees at the border. When Obama took office, they built 3,000 more while he was in office. So these cages is not a Republican invention. It's not a Donald Trump move. It was a move begun by President Obama. The reason you have those is because parents are being separated from their families because some of the parents are going to jail. And some of the parents, and you always separate families when somebody's a lawbreaker and is going to jail. But as far as immigration reform goes, yes, we do need to do that. I think there's a proposal before Congress now that has bipartisan support that puts more merit, a more merit-based immigration system. Republicans, despite what you may be told and what you may believe in immigration. We want immigration, and immigration has made this country strong. But we want thorough, merit-based immigration, and we need to protect our border.
All right, well, thanks, guys. We will have much more on night 2 of the Democratic debates coming up after this. You're watching For the Record.